Hi, I'm Mickey Mantle. You know, when I was a kid growing up in Commerce, Oklahoma, there was no such thing as a Little League. As a matter of fact, there wasn't any form of organized baseball for a youngster until he got to high school. So the only way you could learn to play baseball was out on the sandlots with the other kids. And if you didn't know how to hold a bat, or how to swing, or how to throw, well, there's just nobody around to help you. As for me, I was lucky. I had my dad and my granddad to play with. They were both former semi-pro ball players, so they could watch me and tell me when I was doing something wrong, and then show me how to correct it. Believe me, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been half the ball player I was. And that's why I'm here now, trying to help you the way they helped me. And if I can help you to play better, you'll enjoy the game more. And that's really the important thing, to just go out and have some fun. Now, before we get into the actual instructions, let me explain how everything is going to be set up. First, I believe that the best approach in learning is to concentrate on the basics, and that begins even before you get out on the field. That begins with proper warm-up techniques. Next, we'll deal with baseball equipment. We'll show you how to select a bat, a glove, shoes, and above all, the importance of always wearing a batting helmet. By this time, I know you're getting a little fidgety out there, so we'll step into the batter's box. Here we'll talk about and show you the proper stance and swing. We'll teach you bunting techniques, how to run the bases, and how to steal and slide. Now, I know when I was a kid, all I ever wanted to do was hit the ball, and I bet most of you feel the same way. But remember, if you want to get up at bat and hit the ball, you first have to get the other team out. So you have to know something about fielding the ball. In this segment, you'll learn how to throw and catch properly, how to play the infield, how to make the double play, how to play the outfield, and how to be a catcher. Now, some of you may have a special talent for pitching. So in our pitching segment, we'll instruct you on the proper throwing techniques and also how to field your position. Of course, most of the things that we'll be teaching you have to be practiced outside, but some things can be done right at home. As we go along, we'll tell you which lessons you can do in your room, either in front of a mirror or with a grown-up watching. But remember, never, never, ever swing a bat in any room. Finally, before we begin, I want you to meet some friends of mine who are going to help out. First, here's Whitey Ford, a great pitcher who went into the Hall of Fame the same year I did. Whitey, what are you going to be teaching them?
Well, Mick, we're going to just teach the youngsters the fundamentals of pitching and keep it as simple as possible, but they're going to be getting instructions just the way the regular Major League pitchers would be getting them.
Thanks, Whitey. And nobody that I played with played shortstop any better than my old teammate, the Scooter himself, Phil Rizzuto. Phil not only knows how to play the infield, but he still teaches the New York Yankees how to bunt. And he knows everything there is to know about base running and stealing. Phil, what are you going to tell them?
Well, I'd like to try and show the youngsters how to make the double play around short and second base, how to get in front of the ball and throw the ball the correct way, and also bunting, which is very important. There's a lot of big leaguers, as you know, Mick, still don't know how to bunt. And then a little bit of base running. Thanks,
Phil. And now, here are two of my young friends who's going to help us out. You're Michelle. How old are you?
11.
What position do you play?
Right field and center.
You're Chad.
Yeah.
What position do you play?
I play first base.
Okay, it's time to begin. How do you all want to start?
Batting. Can I go first? No, can I go first, please?
Oh, I knew it. No, we can't start with batting. As I said before, the first step is warm-up. And with me is Dave Scott, the assistant coach of the University of Miami baseball team. And Dave, together with some of his players, is going to instruct all of us here and all of you at home on the proper warm-up techniques.
Coach, why do we have to warm up? Why can't we just go out and play?
Chad, before beginning any kind of physical activity, it really is important to warm up properly to avoid any kind of injury, such as a muscle pull.
Coach, what are some of the stretching exercises?
Michelle, there really are a lot of exercises that you can do to stretch your legs and arms before beginning play. Because baseball requires so much running and throwing, special care is needed to warm up your muscles in your legs and in your arms. Let's join the players now as they begin stretching.
You can practice this right along with us.
Chad and Michelle, step right in there. Let's roll our neck so we can get loose right from the top of our head down to the bottom of our toes. Okay, get nice and loose. All right, let's take our arms. Let's make small circles. Let's go backwards a little bit because we need to warm up those arms. Okay, you can make them a little bit bigger. Let's try and get it bigger. All right, all the way around now, way high. All right, let's stop. Let's make the small circles forward. That's it. Good job, Chad. Bigger circles now. Okay. Ought to start feeling your shoulders loosening up. Now, way up and over. That's it, Chad. Get them up. All right. Let's go now with our legs. Put your feet together. All right, slowly go down and touch your toes if you're able to. Nice job, Michelle. All right, don't bounce. You don't want to pop a muscle here. Just stretch those hamstrings. Okay, back up. All right, let's take our right foot, put it over our left. All right, and again, let's go down slow. Touch our toes if we're able to. Ought to feel it pulling the back of your knee. All right, that's good. All right, back up. And let's go left over right. Stretch this side. Remember, don't bounce. Just stretch. You can hold it for about an 8 count. Then back up. All right, let's take our spur legs real far. All right, and let's stretch our groin muscles. All right, let's go off to the side here. Stretching your left leg. Again, you ought to feel it pulling the inside of your leg. All right, good. Let's go to the other side. All right, stretch that right leg. Okay, let's drop down on the ground. Okay, put your right leg out straight in front of you. Bend your left leg back. That's it. Slowly go down. Touch your nose to your knee. This is going to stretch the hamstring again. Want your toes up in the air. All right, hold it for about an 8 count. All right, let's at the same time, let's stretch our quadriceps, the big muscles in your thighs, and lay back. Just lay back if you can. All right, and wiggle your knee a little bit. Feel it pulling. You might feel it pull up near your waist even. Down around your knee and all the way to your waist. All right, sit back up, and let's switch legs. Put your left leg out and your right leg back. And again, touch your nose to your knee if you can. All right, let's lay back again. Stretch those quadriceps. All right. Okay, back up to a sitting position. Let's bring our soles of our feet together now. Grab a hold of our toes. Pull them up towards you. Remember, never force a muscle too far because you just may stretch it so far that you tear the muscle. All right, nice job. We ought to be good and loose now. Let's jump to our feet. Let's get our gloves and balls. Let's head out and start throwing.
Before we finish the warm-up and move on to the next segment, there's a couple of things I want to tell you. The first is that although warming up and keeping your body in good physical shape may not be as much fun as, say, hitting a grand slam or pitching a shutout, it's probably the most important lesson for you to learn. Because the better shape you're in, the better you're going to play. Speaking for myself, I know that if I'd have taken better care of my body, I would have been able to play for many more years and not have had to retire when I was 36 years old. The second thing that I want to mention is that drugs and alcohol have no place in baseball or in your life. Don't listen to all that talk about how it sharpens your senses or strengthens your body. Drugs and alcohol affect your ability to run, to hit, and to throw. And even more important, they can and will affect your everyday life. They are not harmless. They are very harmful, so keep them out of your body. Remember, if you take good care of your body will take good care of you. Okay, now let's move on. Coach Scott's going to show us the different types of baseball equipment and what's best for you.
When selecting a bat, there's two basic types to consider, wood or aluminum. Of course, wood's been around a long time and is certainly used in professional baseball. But from youth leagues on up to college, the aluminum bat has become a very popular one. Bats range in size from 27 ounces to 32 ounces in weight, or from 27 inches in length all the way up to 35 inches in length. Remember, the most important thing about selecting a bat is to choose one that you feel comfortable with. Before stepping into the batter's box, or anytime you're running on the bases, you always want to wear a protective helmet. Be sure to choose one that has flaps on either side to protect your ears. Let's take a look now at the catcher's equipment. There's many types of face masks that you could wear. This one here has an extension that'll help you protect your throat from getting hit by the ball. Another item for protection is a helmet. Be sure and wear one of those whenever you're catching. Also, we've got the chest protector. This will protect you from any balls that could hit you in the chest or in the neck area. You want to be sure and have one that fits snugly against your throat. We've also got shin guards. Shin guards are going to protect your shins, the top of your knees, and even the top of your foot. Next, we got the catcher's mitt. Of course, you want to choose one that you feel very, very comfortable with, just like a bat. From there, we got the first baseman's mitt, which is going to be a little bit bigger, so that you can scoop those balls up out of the dirt. If you're a middle infielder, you want to select a glove that's probably got shorter fingers. All right, you want to be able to control it, be able to get the ball out of the glove in a hurry. Final type of glove is one for outfielders. Generally speaking, this one has longer fingers than the infielder's glove, so you can run down those fly balls in the outfield. Another piece of equipment is your footwear. No matter which type you prefer, whether a multi-turf shoe or the baseball spike, be sure and wear shoes that fit snugly on your feet. And the last piece of equipment, the most important one of them all, is the protective cup. No matter which type of glove, which type of mask, or which bat, whether it be wooden or aluminum, choose one that you feel comfortable with.
All right, you ready, kids? Grab a bat and don't forget your batting helmets, and let's go into the batter's box.
All right.
You know, someone once said that hitting the baseball is the single most difficult thing to do in sports. Well, if that's true, the second most difficult thing would be teaching somebody how to hit a baseball. And the reason is that everybody has their own style. Watch. Now you can see that everybody stands differently. Some crouch while others stand straight up. Some have an open stance. Some are closed. But no matter how they stand, they all follow certain basics. And that's what we're going to teach you. But first, why don't you two kids go up to the plate and show me what you can do. Michelle, that was pretty good, but I want to tell you, the golden rule in hitting a baseball is to keep that head still. When you swung then, you let your head go like that. If you do that, it's harder to see the ball. Chad, you want to try one?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good stance. You got a good stance and a good swing. Be sure you keep that back foot anchored on the ground at all the time. Don't let it come up like that. Keep it right on that ground. You can practice batting along with us, but don't swing the bat in the house. Coach, I think when you start talking about baseball and hitting, you got to talk about the bat. I heard you tell the kids the other day that you've got to have a bat that you can get out in front of the plate and hit the ball with. A light bat, I think. I think a lot of kids think that if you use a big, heavy bat that you're macho or something, but that's not true. I know if my bat was too heavy, I kept like hitting the ball back in here, and I'd be hitting pop-ups down the right field line or foul balls or little dribblers out in front of the plate. And once I started using a bat that I could swing better, I'd catch it out in front of the plate more. And I guess the second thing you have to talk about is the grip, because if you don't have a good grip, it's just like golf or anything else. You got to know where to hold the bat. A lot of guys get it back in here in the palm of your hand, but way back here. I think it's out in the fingertips, not in the fingertips, but at the beginning of the fingers. And then you got to have that knuckles lined up.
How tight?
Oh, I don't like to grip the ball. If you grip it too tight, you get too tense, and you can't get that wrist action into the ball, like you can get with a ball. You shouldn't just let your hand hang on there. It should be gripped a little bit, but not really tight. So that when you hit the ball, that wrist can come around. If you got the bat back in here and you're gripping it too hard, you'd be going like that, and that's not good.
What about choking up?
Well, I never did choke up. I always had this finger hanging off the end of the bat, to tell you the truth, because I was a home run hitter. But you got guys play baseball that are little guys like Scooter. You know, he's got to choke up a little. He can't get that bat out there. If you choke up a little, it takes a little of the weight out of the end of the bat. It makes you get it out in front. It's still trying to hit the ball out in front of the plate, though. I guess the next thing would be the stance. Like we said, there's some guys like a closed stance with this foot up in front, and then they swing like that. A guy with an open stance would probably stand like this and stride in toward the pitcher, which is a good idea. But the stance is just what's comfortable to the guy hitting.
Well, how far away from the plate?
Well, with me, I like to be where I could reach the outside corner of the plate with the tip of my bat. But I still like to be far enough back where if they threw me a good fastball on the inside corner, I could open up a little bit and still come around and catch the ball out in here somewhere. You don't want to catch it in here. So I stood just where I could stride toward the pitcher and handle the outside pitch, but I could open up a little bit and catch the ball on the inside part of the plate and pull it. In my stance, when I was hitting, you take your stride and open up and make your belt buckle go straight toward the pitcher as you're coming around on your swing. But be sure you keep this back leg anchored down, right down on the ground. You don't want to drag it because it takes all the power away. When you get your stance, however you want it to be, like we're talking about, your own preference, getting comfortable. That's really a big part. Be comfortable. And then when you get ready to hit, you just kind of flex your knees a little bit, and that gives you a little bit extra balance. You don't want to be stiff-legged, like that. You gotta have some knee action and throw that ribs around there, hard.
How much of a stride?
Oh, like I said, that comes with being that comfortable, yeah. I took about a foot stride. Joe DiMaggio was one of my favorite hitters. I thought he had one of the best stands. He's about like this, and when they pitch, he just raised his foot up about that much. And that's what started him swinging. And he never got fooled.
Never turn your head away from the ball. Not only will this disturb your balance, but you also lose sight of the ball. Don't overstride or lunge at the ball. This prevents you from making proper contact with the ball. And never help the pitcher by swinging at bad pitches. Now, before we continue, stop your VCR, go to the mirror, and practice the techniques of batting.
Now that you know how to hold and swing a bat, you all probably want to go up to the plate and swing from your heels. I know that's what I always wanted to do, but there were times when my manager, Casey Stengel, and he was one of the greatest, wouldn't let me swing away. He wanted me to bunt. The bunt's not an easy thing to do, and if you don't believe me, all you have to do is watch almost any game and see how many good players don't know how to lay one down. One guy who could, though, is my old friend, Scooter, who could bunt almost as good as me. Phil, I remember one time, my first year, 1951, they teach a pitcher, whenever a guy's trying to squeeze a guy in from third, they teach you to throw the ball right at the batter's head so he'll have to fall down and the catcher can grab it and tag the guy out on the squeeze play. And I remember Joe DiMaggio was on third base, Phil, and they threw Bob Lemon, I think, was pitching.
Yes,
he threw the ball right at your head, and you went like this and bunted it down. I was the next hitter.
I know it. I got a picture home, one of the greatest pictures with DeMange crossing home plate, me jumping up in the air going to first, and you in the back jumping up and down. And as you mentioned jokingly, if I didn't lay that down, it would have been up to you to drive DeMange.
That's right. You took all the pressure off me. Won me about $7,000 that.
You can practice bunting right along with us, but remember, don't swing the bat in the house.
Well, I know, Mantle, that you were a great drag bunter, but not once did I ever see you sacrifice a squeeze or run a home.
Well, why don't you teach us three how to do it then?
All right.
For everybody.
All right. The start. All you can, by the way, all you kids watching at home, if you want to follow along and make it a lot easier, and you'll be able to pick up these hints a lot quicker. Now, the first thing you want to do is get a comfortable stance with your feet. Your regular stance, baseball stance, is the way you're going to face the pitcher. Bend the knees a little bit, be loose and relaxed, get in your stance, And then this is the sacrifice bunt. Now, don't forget the sacrifice bunt. And the word sacrifice means exactly what it says. You're sacrificing a time at bat to move the base runner from first to second to third, or third to home. So you just square around, just turn your feet. The toes are facing the pitcher. Your body is facing the pitcher, and you're holding the bat at this level so that anything above that bat is a ball and you don't have to bunt it. Now, on not the squeeze play, but on the sacrifice bunt, you don't have to bunt the ball. If the ball's too high and you go up here to bunt it, you're liable to pop one up in the air, and the man will be out, and they might get a double play. And another thing, hold the hands very loosely so that when the ball makes contact with the bat, it just comes back a little bit. It's almost like catching the ball, and you'll get a little backspin on the ball. Whereas if you grip the bat tightly, which a lot of ball players do, even major leaguers, the ball will jump off the bat, and you hit a line drive or a hard ground ball, and they'll get the runner going to second base. All right, now we've got that part, right? The bat is right there. Now, if the pitch comes in and the third baseman is charging way in, you want to bunt the ball to first base, you just turn with your left hand a little bit like this and lay the ball down the first base line between the pitcher and first base. If the first baseman is charging in, you want to do it the third, you just turn it this way, your left hand in towards the body, still the hands very lightly on the bat, and you bunt the ball. You know, Mick, we mentioned before that you were a great drag bunter, and you're the only left-hand hitter in this group. Why don't you show us how to drag bunt? I can't do it, and the kids can't do it.
Okay, y'all get over on that side, and I'll show you how to drag bunt. It's the same thing that Phil was talking about on the squeeze play. You don't want to give it away too fast, because what you're trying to do is get a running start and hit a little line drive just off the pitcher's mound toward the second baseman, just hard enough that the pitcher can't field it, but the second baseman can't get it fast enough to throw you out. So what I'd do when the pitcher was throwing it, like I showed you when I put all my weight on my back foot to try to hit a home run, I'd do the same thing, and the first thing I'd do is move my hand right up to the trademark, just like Phil did. And a lot of people think the first step is with your right foot toward first base, but it's not. Because if you do that, you can see that I couldn't bunt the ball if it's on the outside part of the plate. So the first thing I do, I move my hand right up here, and my first step is right straight at the pitcher. So if the ball's out on the outside part of the plate, I can still, and this one is not like Phil's where he said you go like that. This one, you do hit the ball. You hit it just a little line drive toward the second baseman. My second step is already down the line, and I'm already running as fast as I can. So that's why they call it the drag bunt. You're running and dragging it. That's the way I could run from home to first in 3 1/10 seconds.
Now, one more time. This is the sacrifice where you turn your body and toes at the pitcher and let the ball hit the bat. And this is the drag bunt, where you're already moving even before you hit the ball.
Now, before we go on to the next section, stop your VCR and practice the bunting techniques we've shown you.
Of course, after you hit the ball, you've got to run. And this may surprise you, but speed isn't the most important part of running. The most important part is learning how to run. You may not believe this, but there were guys that I could beat in a straight run who could beat me going around the bases. Guys like Phil.
Hey, Mantle, you never could beat me in a foot race or running the bases. I could always run faster.
Scooter, I could always beat you. It only looked like you ran faster because you were shorter than me and took quicker steps.
Why, you Huckleberry? Come on, I'll race you right now.
No, I give up. Just show the kids how to run the bases. First thing I remember, the first thing that comes to my mind was in 1950 when I came to spring training with you guys out in Phoenix, Arizona. And the second day of camp, Casey said he was going to have some of the veterans, you guys, to show us rookies how to round first base. About half of you fell. Was you one of them?
I was one of them, but first you were a rookie, and it was 1951.
It was 51.
You were right the first time. But I was one of them. But don't forget, we had never trained in Arizona before. We had always trained here in Florida.
That's right.
And the atmosphere with the altitude, everything was different. Besides, they had snakes out there and big bugs, and we were all afraid of them.
It was different. I remember the turf around first base as being a lot softer than it is in Florida, too.
The dirt is a lot different.
Well, are you going to give all the kids and myself a few tips?
I certainly am.
Now, there are two ways of running from home to first. The first way is when the ball is hit to the infield and you try to beat it out for a hit. Now, here you run straight down the line, you run right through the bag, and then stop to see if the ball was overthrown. Because if it was, you can go on to second. Now, if the ball has been hit to the outfield, you may be able to get more than a single. Here, you're round first base. You don't run through it. and you're heading for second base. The important thing here is to touch first base on the inside corner of the bag with your left foot so that you can push off it heading towards second.
All right, the first thing you do when you get to first base, after you're safe, keep your foot on the bag. You look at the third base coach quickly to get the sign, to see whether you're going to steal, whether the bunt is on, whether the hit and run is on. Then you make sure the pitcher's got the ball in his glove, because you don't want to be picked off. The first baseman sometimes can have the hidden ball trick. Then you look at your outfielders quickly to see how they're positioned. You know if you can take an extra base if the ball's hit in the gap in left center or right center. And then the important thing is taking the lead. Now, most things we teach are the 3.5-step lead. You take 1, 2, 3, and then a half. Now, I wouldn't be looking at you. I'd be looking at the pitcher all the time. I'm doing that. Now, a lot of, I don't know, but Mickey might have a different way to take a lead, but one thing we teach not to do is to take a lead with crossing over this way, because sometimes you're crossing over ready to, pitcher throws to first base and you can't get back. What do you think of that?
Yeah, you're always supposed to be where you can dive back to first. And a lot of the base runners nowadays, like the guys that steal 75 or 80 bases, they take a lead as far as they can think they can dive back in. And sometimes it's a little bit more than what Phil said, but we're old timers, and we were taught to just get about a 3.5-step lead. We didn't steal many bases.
No, not like the kids today, but you cannot steal a base if you're worried about getting back, okay? Now, how about you kids trying that?
You remember, the first thing you got to do is look over at third base to see what your coach is giving you. See if there's a bunt sign on or a play. Then you look at the outfield, like Phil said, to see where they're all playing. Right?
Gotta do it quick now.
Now then you're making sure the pitcher's got the ball again. Now then you're getting your lead. That's
Very good.
Very good.
Very good.
If you decide you're going to steal, begin by taking your normal 3.5-step lead and keep your eyes on the pitcher. Also, be sure to be up on your toes, and once the pitch is thrown, you're off and running. Now, most times you're going to have to slide into the base, and the best slide is the figure 4, with your left leg extended to the base and your right leg bent and tucked under your left knee. You may find it more comfortable with the right leg extended and the left leg bent under. Now watch how it's done. The runner takes off, and when he gets about 3 or 4 feet away from the bag, he begins his slide, reaching for the base with his leg. He pops up immediately, ready to go on if the ball is overthrown.
Home runs may win games, but so can good aggressive base running. Stealing second or taking an extra base can decide the outcome of a game. Baseball is the only team sport that's not played with a clock. Each team is guaranteed to get up to bat the same number of times, no matter how long it takes. So when the other team is hitting, you're fielding. As you can see, the basics of defense are throwing and catching. And the team that can throw a baseball more accurately and can catch a baseball more often is usually the team that's going to win the most games. But throwing and catching isn't always as easy as it seems. Even the best players sometimes have problems, so it's important to learn the proper techniques. And that begins with some basic drills, and Phil will lead us through it. You can practice the throwing techniques along with Phil, but don't throw the ball in the house.
Now, the first thing about throwing the baseball is you try to grip it across the seams whenever possible. In other words, after you've caught the ball, you try to maneuver the ball as you're turning around ready to throw the ball. So, Shad and Michelle, you got that? That's the first step, all right? So then, as you catch the ball, you step at an angle with your foot, your right foot over, so that you've got something to throw off, and you step through, and you come overhand, and then just follow through.
You can practice catching right along with Phil.
When you're going to catch a ball, a fly ball, if the ball is above your waist, the hands are held like this, with the palms up, fingers up in the air. You don't want to catch a ball up here like this because it's very dangerous. You could get hurt, and a lot of times you'd miss the ball. So anything above the belt, you're going to catch like this. Of course, if the ball is hit low, You just turn the hand. Now, you kids do this with me. That's it. Like this, and catch the ball down here. Now, that's on a fly ball or a line drive. Now, ground ball. If a ground ball is hit, you come in and don't wait for the ball to come to you. You go at the ball, just a couple of steps, and when the ball is coming, you put the left foot in front of the right foot, and the glove, make sure it touches the ground. And no, Michelle, a little bit out further, because you don't want to feel the ball back in here, because then it's tough to get the ball up and throw. You want the ball out in front of you with the arms extended. And remember, as the ball is hit, you put the glove out and make sure the glove is touching the ground. You don't want the ball to go underneath your glove. And as the ball, you watch the ball into your glove at all times. Don't take your eye off it. Look up, see where the runner's going. Watch the ball. As it comes in, you grab it. You can see you're going to get it across the seam. You come up, take a little hop and a step, bring the arm back, throw, and follow through. And if you get that down, you won't make any bad throws, you won't hurt your arm, and you won't make many errors.
Okay, now stop your VCR and go practice your throwing and catching techniques in front of the mirror.
You know, when I started playing baseball, I played shortstop, and that's why the Yankees wanted me. Phil was nearing the end of his career, and they needed someone to replace him, so they signed me.
Yeah, but there was only one problem, Al.
Yeah, I was a terrible shortstop. So they put me in the outfield, and that's the reason you got to hang around a few more years.
Yeah, but you remember the publicity you got when they first signed you, the Yankees? The year prior to that, I was the most valuable player. But when I read about what you could do, outrun a rabbit, hit the ball over the moon, had an arm that could throw a ball through a brick wall, I had my bags packed ready to go back to the minor leagues.
The only thing wrong was Harry Kraft was my manager in the minor leagues, and every time he sent in a report on me, it was to get him off a shortstop. He couldn't play shortstop.
Well, Mick, I'm still around. I can still teach you how to play the infield.
Well, lead on, Professor.
Now we're at first base, and I see that we're 6 feet back from the bag and 6 feet inside from the foul line. But the fundamentals are about the same, getting set. Is that right?
Sure.
As
sure.
a short, second, and third?
Yeah, just a resting position to get started with, and then, of course, when the pitcher delivers the ball, we're going to get our hands out in front. All right, when he pitches the ball, then we're just going to take a little step forwards.
We just got finished showing you the position. Same as third, second, and short. Hands on the knees, leaning forward. And now the ground ball, and here's what the first baseman has to do. Has to pick it up, go to the bag with the pitcher not covering, make the unassisted putout. All right, we showed you how the first baseman makes the unassisted putout at first base. There are times when he can't get there in time and has to throw to the pitcher. So let's take a look. After fielding the ball, the first baseman must lead the pitcher to the bag by flipping the ball a couple of steps in front of him. All right, we showed you the first baseman fielding his position, but we did not show you the first baseman how he's got to make the catches from the other infielders. Dave, you want to show us?
Okay, well, the first thing you got to do is get to the bag in a hurry. Get over there as soon as you can. And then you want to find the bag with your heels, and then you want to use your pivot foot, which is going to be the foot that you use on the throwing side of your body. You want to stretch out and reach for the ball and catch it. Like to use two hands, remember that. We can stretch to shortstop, and of course we can stretch to second base. Just be sure you use the edge of the bag and not on top, because you can get stepped on and get hurt.
All right, another very important thing the first baseman has to do is hold the runner on so he can't get too big a lead. Dave's going to show you. He's on the home plate side of first base now. There's the lead. He leans forward and then quickly swings around to put the tag on the runner. Another thing a first baseman has to do, very important, if the pitch is thrown home, he's got to shuffle off to field his position in case the ball is hit. So now let's watch Dave. As Calvin leads off, Dave in his position. The ball is thrown to the plate. He's got to shuffle off and be ready to field his position. And now we have another situation that the first baseman is involved in, the bunt situation. All right, now we're going to watch Dave as Calvin leads away. The bunt is in order. Here's the pitch. The ball is bunted, and Dave is up with it, wheels around, throws to Donnie at first, the out.
Well, after first base, let's go up the middle and talk about the shortstop and second baseman.
Okay.
Now, the fielding fundamentals are going to be the same for the shortstop and the second baseman, but the position where they play on the field is certainly different. The second baseman is located between first base and second base. The shortstop between second base and third base.
Right now, Dave is going to show us the correct way, and you know we went through this before. Hands on the knees. Ready to go as the pitcher delivers, hands out front, take that little step, and then as the ground ball comes, right now, here comes the ball hit to him.
Up with it, the little hop, and the throw over to first base. All right, we just saw a ground ball straight at the shortstop. Now we're going to see him go to his left for one. And it's basically the same way, the little hop, and you're moving towards the bag and firing the ball. Now we're going to see one, the most difficult play again, to his right. All right, here it is, the most difficult play for the shortstop, going to his right, backhanding the ball off the back foot and firing to first base. Well done. The shortstop and second baseman have other responsibilities, such as covering second base on a steal. Now, depending upon who's covering, he has to come over to the bag, straddle it, and put his glove right down so that the runner can't get his foot on the base. And on the bunt play, again depending on who's covering, he has to stretch out to catch the ball just like a first baseman. Well, here we are, Coach, over at your favorite hot corner.
Yeah, tell you what, I bet you've, in your career, seen a lot of great third basemen. You probably had guys playing right beside you that made a lot of great plays.
I did. I mean, the kids today, of course, are familiar with Brooks Robinson and Greg Nettles, but I started with a fella called Red Roth. And each of them, like all great third basemen, not only had quick reflexes, but they knew the basics of playing third, beginning with the stance. So, let's go. Hands on the knees, right? Pitcher is going into his windup, and he's just getting ready to deliver. And as he does, you take your hands off the knees, take a little step forward with your left foot, and by doing that, it's going to get you ready to move in if the ball's hit slow, to the left if it's hit to your left, to the right if it's hit to your right, and back if it's a little pop fly going back. All right, now we're going to go into the art of handling the bunts. We had been playing back the hot corner. Now we're coming in. The bunt is in order. So Dave will get down in position, hands on the knees, and then just as the pitcher delivers the ball, he's ready, and he's coming in, and the bunt, he goes forward, picks it up, and fires the ball over to first base. All right, now there's another type of bunt that Dave's going to demonstrate. This is a very difficult bunt. You don't want to try it too often, but once in a while you got to come in on the dead run and pick it up barehanded and throw in the same motion across the body. You want to try the other play more than you try that play. That is a difficult play, but at times you might have to do it. Nothing makes a pitcher happier than getting 2 outs with one pitch, the double play. Let's look at some of them, starting with the 5-4-3. Third base to second base to first base. In this one, the third baseman fields the ball and has to make a strong, accurate throw to second, aiming for the middle of the base. The second baseman comes over, catches the ball, touches the outside corner of the base with his foot, and throws to first. The next double play is a 6-4-3. Shortstop to second to first. Here, the shortstop starts the action and throws the ball. He doesn't flip it underhand. The second baseman again takes the throw, touching the outside corner of the base with his foot, and throws to first. Then there's the 4-6-3. Second to short to first. This time it's the second baseman who fields the ball. He then throws it. Remember, don't flip the ball. The shortstop catches the ball, steps on second, touching the backside with his right foot, and completes the double play with a throw to first. One of the more difficult double plays is the 3-6-3, especially for a right-handed first baseman who throws to short, back to first. Now here the first baseman begins by holding the runner on and then shuffles off with the pitch. The ball is hit to him, and he has to spin and throw to second where the shortstop comes over. Takes the throw, stepping on the far side of second with his left foot, and throws back to the first baseman. The last double play is the 1-6-3. The pitcher to the shortstop to first. The pitcher fields the ball, spins and throws to second. The shortstop comes over, catches the ball, touches second base with his left foot, and throws to first, completing the double play. Man, they say that pitching is 90% of the game. You believe that?
Well, maybe with most pitchers, but when Ford was on the mound, it only seemed like 10% because I was always chasing the ball down.
Hold it, Mick. If it wasn't for you running down them long fly balls hit off of me, you would have never made the Hall of Fame.
Well, maybe, but if I weren't there to catch him, you wouldn't have made it either.
Well, thanks, Mick.
But since you did, why don't we continue with our program?
Thank you, Mick. Pitching, like hitting, is a very individual form. Just watch. even though I had smaller hands than the average pitcher, I would always feel good holding the ball right on the seams, and I would hold the fastball that way, the changeup. If I would throw another pitch like a curveball or something, I held it the same way. Okay, Michelle, let me see now. How do you... Okay, you gripped it right on the seams. Does that feel comfortable? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, Chad, do you feel comfortable holding it that way?
Yes.
Okay, so just remember, that's if that feels comfortable, that's the way you want to hold it. Now first we got our stance. You can be nice and comfortable. You can hold the ball in your left hand if you want. You can keep it in your glove. Whatever feels more comfortable to you. I like to hold it in my hand. I was always afraid it would drop out of my glove. But now you got your stance here. Now the next thing is your rock. All that means is you're going to rock back with this foot here. In my case, it's my right foot. Okay, now I take my stance, I rock back. Now the next thing is the pivot. All that means is you want to get your foot to push off the rubber here. In my case, again, it's the left hand, the left foot. So here we got our stance, we take our rock back, now we take our pivot here, and the next thing is the leg kick. Okay, now we got our pivot here. Now the next thing is to kick that leg. Some people like to kick their leg low, like a Tom Seaver. I don't know if you've seen Tom pitch a lot, but he gets his nice and low, and he really gets down low with this leg. We'll get into that in a second. I like to throw my leg up a little higher, so I would throw it up like that. Okay, now the only other thing, just before you release the ball, you turn your foot, you pivot, now you've kicked this leg up. The only thing, if you can just hesitate here, it's kind of hard to do it slow. You can just hesitate. We call that sitting. You just sit back on this leg, and it gives you time to push off with this left foot. Okay, so we got our stance, our rock, we pivot, we kick that leg up, and we sit. And then the next thing is you got to throw that ball and drive it right through. So the next thing we want to remember is we want to plant our right foot there and follow through. So here's how it goes. You get your sign from the catcher, wind up, pivot, you kick, you sit, and then you just follow through. You plant that foot. The only thing I want you to remember, right at the end, I'm not going to throw the ball, but say I've released the ball. Now the batter might hit it back to me, right? You don't want to get hit. So take it, you wind up, you throw the ball, and you just be ready in case that batter hits it back at you. Okay, kids, you've seen me pitch. Now watch how it's done by a righty. You begin with your body facing the batter, but with your right foot staying on the rubber. The rest of the pitching motion follows the same basics. The rock, the pivot, the swivel, the sit, the stride, and finally, the follow through so that you're in good position to field the ball. Kids, before we get on to anything further with pitching, I'd suggest that you get up in front of the mirror now and just practice the things that we went over. Michelle and Chad, sometime during the game, the guy's going to get on first base off of you. Being I'm left-handed, I really can't show you how to do this, but I brought my friend Rob along, and we want to show you how to hold a man on first base. Rob's a pitcher. He's a right-handed pitcher, so we'd like you to just let him throw a few pitches over to first base, and just watch how his feet move. He's going to have it planted here. His foot is going to be planted here. Now, he'll show you. Do it real slow if you can, Rob, so that they can pick it up. Just watch his feet. See how he kicked that right foot up and turned around? See, it's hard. If he were to stand here like this and try and throw it, he'd hurt his knee or his ankle. So that's why do it one more time, Rob. That's why he lifts that right foot up, so he can just turn around and throw over to first base. Okay? Another important part of pitching is to be able to field your position. I'm going to try and demonstrate now There's a batter up at the plate. I'm going to throw the ball, and he's going to make a good bunt. He's going to bunt it out here someplace in front of the plate. I'm going to run in off the mound and show you how to get in position. You don't just run over here and grab it and turn around and throw. As you're going to field the ball, you want to start getting in position where you can just pick the ball up and in one motion throw to first base. Then I'm going to have my friend Rob do it as a right-hander, so it'll give you an idea of how to do it left-handed and to do it right-handed. Okay, Michelle and Chad, Robbie's going to show you now how a right-hander fields the bunt. He's going to come over, field that ball, and he's going to be in position to throw to first base. See, he gets over, as he's picking the ball up, he's already facing first base, and it makes his throw a lot more accurate. Let's try it one more time, Rob. And the idea, you got to get in there as quick as you can after you see that ball bunted. There, see, he's in position. He makes a good throw to first base, and that's the proper way to field your position on a bunt. Kids, another very important thing a pitcher can do when he's fielding his position is cover first base. When there's a ball hit to the first baseman, a lot of times he can't get over and get that runner out in time. So what you have to do is come over, and you're the first baseman in this instance, and the first baseman will throw it to you. We're going to demonstrate now, but I want you to notice that Rob, he's going to run over toward the line, and about the last 10 feet, he's going to come straight up the line. The reason for that is the runner's coming up toward first base, and they don't want to collide, so he sort of runs parallel with him. So let's let them demonstrate what they're going to do. Rob's going to come down the line about 10 feet. He's going to run straight up the line, and then after he catches the ball from the first baseman, you watch how he stops and turns around. Yeah, he did everything fine. See, and now he's ready in case that guy that was on second base tries to score. Michelle and Chad, another important thing the pitcher has to do is back up bases. Our friend Robbie now, he's going to demonstrate there's going to be a man on first base, there's going to be a ball hit to right field. Now that ball is going to be thrown into third base, and I want you to watch what Robbie does on this play. He's going to back up third base, and just watch what he does. Okay, the pitch has been thrown. Now the ball's been hit out to right field. The runner's coming to third. Robbie comes over to back up third. Now the ball gets by the third baseman, so here's Robbie backing up third. If he's not here, that runner scores. Always warm up properly by throwing about 50 pitches before the game. This should take about 10 minutes. Don't throw curveballs or other trick pitches until your pitching arm is fully developed. If your arm hurts, don't pitch. Tell the coach about it immediately.
Now, before we continue, stop your VCR, go to the mirror, and practice what we've just shown you.
Well, with you two guys behind me, I really worried about when the ball was hit. But there was another guy that was very important to me, the catcher.
Why do you know, when we were kids, we always took the worst player and made him catcher. But that was silly because the catcher really controls the game, doesn't he?
He's so important. I remember Yogi, how much he would help me out on the mound if I was pitching too fast. He'd slow me down. He'd give me a good target. There were so many ways a catcher can help you, even the infielders, right, Phil?
Oh, absolutely. I regard the catcher as a quarterback on a football team. He runs the whole game, calls the signals, and remembers. He's got to have a good memory to remember how the pitcher should pitch certain batters.
Well, let's go to Coach Scott now to tell us more about the catcher.
Before beginning the fielding fundamentals for catching, let's review the catcher's equipment. Be sure to wear your mask at all times, even when warming up the pitcher. This catcher's mask has that projection, prevents you from catching a ball up in the throat. Be sure to wear your helmet, too, when catching. Chest protector should fit snugly against the chest and neck. And shin guards should be worn even in the bullpen. Worst thing that could happen is for a ball to bounce up, catch you in the shin, and cause you to miss a game. Finally, the catcher's mitt completes our equipment. Let's talk now about the catching position. first stance is the signal stance. You want to point your toes out at the pitcher and close your knees slightly. Place your glove alongside your left knee. That way you'll prevent the third base coach from picking up any signs. You can give signs as such: 1, 2, or 3. You could also give the location where you want the pitch to be thrown. 1 inside. Okay, and pat your leg. Then we can go into the receiving stance or target stance. Okay, shift it. Point your toes out slightly. Get your elbows up. Get your tail up. And reach out and provide the pitcher with a nice target. You could also shift to give a low target by placing your right leg out to the side and going to one knee. This will certainly keep the pitcher downstairs with his pitches. Talked about all the equipment that a catcher wears, but one thing is going to be left open, and that's your throwing hand. To protect your hand, close your thumb into your palm and close your fingers around it. The runner on base, you're going to have to be a two-handed catcher. Therefore, you put your hand right behind your mitt. If there's no one on base, you can put your bare hand behind your right hip. You want to give a nice target so the pitcher can see the mitt clearly. When positioning yourself at the plate, don't start too far away from the hitter, nor too close, because you could have catcher's interference. Just get yourself in a position to receive the ball cleanly. One of the most difficult aspects of catching is blocking the ball in the dirt. After getting into your target stance, if a ball bounces in the dirt, you want to drop to your knees, place your glove between your legs, and then soften your chest. Tuck your chin down against your chest so that you don't catch a ball in the throat. You want to soften your chest just in case the ball should bounce here, then it'll soften the blow and bounce right out in front. Then you can scramble to your feet, pick the ball up, throw the runner out. Remember, when there's a runner on base, you want to be a two-handed catcher. So place your bare hand behind the mitt. The runner takes off, you want to shift and throw to second. One aspect of fielding is the bunt. The ball's down, rush out, grab the ball, make a nice quick throw to first base. Another part of fielding is the pop-up. Ball gets up in the air, take your mask off, find the ball, then get rid of the mask.
It's important when throwing to the bases that the throw be fast and accurate. Do this by gripping the ball across the seams and throwing it overhanded. Well, Coach, if we had 3 little kids out here right now and we're starting up a team and they all had about the same ability, how would we pick the positions?
Well, I guess you'd probably have to put your fastest guy in center field, wouldn't you?
Well, I've always thought that. The best athlete, I think, should be the center fielder.
Are you sure you're not saying that just because you played center?
Well, if you ask Whitey Ford, he'll tell you that I wasn't the best athlete. He thought that he could have won a lot more games if I hadn't been playing center, but I think he just kids me sometime about that. But I really do believe the best athlete should be the center fielder. The guy can run the fastest. He's got a lot more ground to cover. I think the guy with the best arm probably should be the right fielder to try to, like if there's a man on first base and they hit a ground ball to the right fielder, he's got to try to throw him out at third. He should have an accurate arm, too. Left field, probably he doesn't have to throw as many people out. And usually the left fielder is probably the best hitter of the bunch because that's all he's got to do is just hit.
Mickey, did you have any special position that you got into before a ball was pitched?
Well, I always felt like, I was just saying, when you see guys running a 100-yard dash, they don't get down like this. They always get down like this for some reason or other. They got their feet in starting blocks. And that's the way I always, this was my stance in the outfield. If there was a right-handed hitter up that hit the ball over here, I'd play him on this side of second base, but I would be ready to run that way. But this, to me, I could always get a lot better start like this. One thing you want to do is just like a third baseman. He's got to be able to jump either way. Whenever that ball, the pitcher throws the ball, it's getting closer to the hitter, you want to get up on the balls of your feet like you're ready to go. I mean, either way, of course, but if you're up on the balls of your feet, and I think if you got one foot behind the other one a little bit, for some reason or other, you can get a faster start.
Let's talk about the fly ball and catching just a routine fly ball. Did you ever use the basket catch?
No, I couldn't. Willie Mays is the only one I ever saw that I thought should do that. I mean, Willie was a great fielder, probably one of the best fielders I ever saw. But I would never try that. First of all, you got to catch the ball up here with and I like to have two hands up here. I don't like the one-handed catch. I've seen a lot of guys slap that ball on the ground from out there. I like to see him try to catch it up here. If there's a guy on third base and he's trying to score, when you catch it, you're already ready to throw it. I used to catch the ball and just take about one step and throw it as hard as I could to the home plate or wherever.
How about a ball that's hit over your head? You want to, get back on it as quick as possible, right? Set up?
Well, there was guys like Joe DiMaggio that had a knack. I don't know what it was, an instinct or something. But I used to watch him, my first year I played right field when he was still with the Yankees. And I used to watch him shag fly balls, and I couldn't believe it. He could turn and run to left center field 40 or 50 yards over there and turn around, and the ball would be there. I never had that instinct for some reason or other. I used to have to kind of keep my eye on the ball all the time. On a ground ball early in part of the game, just a regular single, you don't want to let it get by you because it'll go for a double or triple. So what I used to do when I came in, I would get down on one knee like this. So if the ball took a bad hop, it would come up and hit you. I don't like from hitting me in the face, but if you're down like this, it can't hardly go through here. If it takes a bad hop, it'll hit you and fall back out in front of you, and you can still hold the guy to a double, or a single. On a ball hit to you where you've got to try to throw a guy like a guy on second base trying to score on a single, you got to come running in. I still used to kind of go like this, but when I did, I came up and I was ready to throw. I wouldn't get down on my knee, but I almost did. I'd get down like this so that it would still hit you if you missed it. Always run on your toes, not on your heels. When you run on your heels, you bounce as you run, and that makes it more difficult to follow the ball. Don't backpedal. You can misjudge the ball too easily when you do that. Don't drift to the ball. When you do, you'll find yourself out of position to catch the ball properly. Always grip the ball across the seams and throw it overhand. This gives you the most accuracy, and the ball carries further. If you throw sidearm, it has a tendency to sink.
When you swing, what should your rear foot be doing? As you begin your swing, your rear foot should pivot, opening your hips so that by the time you follow through, your belt buckle is facing the pitcher. How much of a lead should you take? A, 3 steps, B, 3.5 steps, C, 4 steps. When leading off any base, the recommended lead is 3.5 steps. What's the best way to throw a baseball? The best way to throw a baseball is to first grip it across the seams and then throw it overhand. As a first baseman, how do you take the throws from the other fielders? Get to the bag as quickly as possible, locating it with your heels, and then stretch to catch the ball using your pivot foot. If you're right-handed, it's your right foot. If you're left-handed, it's your left foot. As a shortstop or second baseman, how do you cover second base on a steal? On the steal, you cover the base by straddling it and putting your glove right down so that the runner can't get his foot on the base. How does the third baseman handle a slow hit ball? On a slow hit ball, the third baseman has to charge in and on the dead run pick up the ball barehanded and throw across his body to first base. How does an outfielder play a ground ball? Always charge a ground ball. If there are no runners on base, it's a good idea to keep your body in front of the ball and drop down to one knee so that the ball doesn't go past you. How does an outfielder catch a long fly ball hit over his head? On a long fly ball hit over your head, keep your eye on the ball and get to it as quickly as possible. Always try to catch the ball as you're moving towards the infield so that when you throw, your momentum is towards the fielders. How do you protect your throwing hand from injury? To protect your throwing hand, put your thumb into the palm of your hand and close your fingers around it, making a fist. If there's a runner on base, put your fist behind the glove. If there is no one on base, put your hand behind your body. What are the basic steps of the pitching windup? The basic steps of the pitching windup are the rock, pivot, swivel, sit, stride, and follow through.
I hope all you kids and parents out there learned a lot about the basics of baseball. I'd like to thank Whitey Ford, Phil Rizzuto, Coach Dave Scott, Michelle Marie, Chad Michael, and all the players who performed for us. Thanks for your help. We've talked about a lot of things. The importance of warming up, how to select your equipment,
Batting, base running, and fielding.
Catching, pitching, and the rules for safety.
I want to remind you to watch this tape several times. There's lots of information in here, and that's the only way to better understand everything that we've shown you. It's a good idea to practice with a parent or some other adult who can watch you and help you. Then you can come back to the tape and check out specific areas that you may want to brush up on. Finally, I know that you won't always be able to hit a home run or pitch a shutout. Even the best players can't. Sometimes you'll strike out, but if you keep practicing and working at it, you'll get better all the time. The important thing is just to go out there and have some fun.